this video, I'd like to cover some of our most popular Zoom questions we've had so far. So the first thing I'd like to point out is that the first time you want to link Zoom to your Blackboard course site, you have to ensure that you have in fact activated your Bridgewater Zoom account. To do that, you're going to go out to bridgew.zoom.us and then you want to click Sign In to configure your account. If you already have a free account from Zoom, it's not going to work in Blackboard through the integration. You could of course use a web link, but you might as well use the full functionality. So you're going to click Sign In, you're going to put in your Bridgewater email address, and then you'll go through the process to either link an account if you've got one, or to activate an account. It will send you an email that you do have to click to confirm. Once you've done that, you can now go into Blackboard to add your Zoom meeting to your Blackboard course site. I'm going to demonstrate this for you now. So two things I'd like to show you. The first is how to add a recurring class meeting for any synchronous classes you may plan to have. And the second one is how to add a link for virtual office hours. So first I'm going to go to the left menu. You'll see the plus sign at the top. I'm going to go ahead and hover over that and then go down and click where it says Tool Link. Now I'm going to type in class meetings and choose web, just so that they realize that's your online meeting place, but you can name it anything that's convenient for you as long as they understand it. From the type drop down, I'm going to click and scroll all the way down to the bottom and choose Zoom Tool. Make sure you check that box to make that available to users and then click Submit. You'll notice it adds the link to the bottom of your left menu. If you hover to the left of it, you get a little crosshair symbol. You can now click and drag that anywhere in the menu you'd like. Now to create the meeting, I just have to click that link. And then you'll see a blue button in the upper right corner to schedule a new meeting. So I'm just going to say weekly class meetings, maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 a.m. Oops, or whatever your appropriate time is. I'm just going to try to make it as obvious as possible for my students. It doesn't really matter what I choose for when, because I'm going to choose a recurring meeting and that's not going to show up. So down here under the time zone, I'm going to click the checkbox next to recurring meeting. And from the recurrence drop down, I want to scroll to the bottom and choose no fixed time. What's nice about this is it's going to give me one single link that students will use every single time. This way they can bookmark it, or you can send it out to them in an announcement. And that way there's no confusion about which meeting room you're on and on which day. All right, so now I'm going to scroll down. One thing I will point out is the waiting room. If you want to allow all students to be in the room at the same time, I would uncheck this. I'll talk a little bit more about this when I get to the office hours, but for your class, I would not enable the waiting room personally, unless you want to manually let everybody in so you can take attendance or something. Video, I just usually leave that off by default, and students can still click to turn their camera on if they want to when speaking. Enable join before host if you want your students to be able to get into the meeting room before you get there. This is also a nice feature if you'd like to allow them to work together collaboratively on projects. They can use the same meeting space. Mute participants upon entry is usually a good best practice. Sometimes people's environments are very disruptive and they could be bothersome to others in the meeting. So I usually mute them upon entry. They can still click the microphone icon if they choose to speak. And then once you've gone through the rest of your settings, go ahead and click Save. And you now have a meeting created. There is a join URL. This is something you can copy and paste into an announcement from Blackboard if you wanted to. So maybe your students don't know where to find that link for that first class. That's a nice way to make sure that they know where to go. So now you'll notice when I did this, it opened in a separate tab. I just want to click back on the other Blackboard tab. And then if I click the little home icon in the upper left corner, it'll bring me back to my Blackboard site for the course. Here's the class meetings link. I'm going to close this just to demonstrate what that looks like. Go ahead and click it. And now the meeting is showing there as a recurring meeting with the topic that I gave it. And then you would just click Start when you're ready to start the meeting. Students will have a button in the same spot that says Join. So that is how you do your recurring class meetings. The next thing I wanted to show you, again, I'm going back to home. I'm going to go on the left menu and click the plus sign. I'm going to choose Tool Link again. And this time I'm going to call this Office Hours. I'm going to click the drop down, scroll down and choose Zoom Tool again. Make sure it's available to your users. Click Submit. Again, it's at the bottom. I'm just going to click and drag that wherever I'd like it. click the office hours link, it'll bring me out to the other meeting that I've created, and that's fine. Now I'm going to click the schedule a new meeting button in the upper right corner, and I'm going to call this office hours. And you could also add your days and times here if you wanted. When I'm going to leave blank again, because I'm going to make this a recurring meeting so I don't have to give all the multiple links. So again, I'm going to scroll down, do recurring meeting, and choose no fixed time. Now this time I am going to leave the waiting room on, and this enables me to work with one student at a time. So just to let your students know ahead of time, once I'm done with the person ahead of you, I will let you in. Again, I'd leave video off by default. If you want to allow them to call in, that's fine. And then I would not check enable join before host so they can't get into the room before you. And I probably wouldn't bother with muting your participants upon entry since you'll be meeting with them one-on-one during office hours. And then click save. And again, you have this join link. The nice benefit of this is that you could create one office hour session in one course site. You can now copy this link and add it as a web link to a different course site. Let me show you how you would do that. So I'm just going to click and drag across that URL and do Control-C or right-click and copy or Command-C depending on your computer. I'm going to now go back to my Blackboard course site, and then I can go into a different course that I'm teaching. I can click a plus sign. This time, instead of tool link, I'll choose web link. I'm going to call it office hours, and I can paste in that URL that I just copied from the other course, make it available to users, and click submit. And now that the students from this course can go to the office hours that's technically created in the other course. So you don't have to have multiple windows open at the same time for your office hours. So I hope this helps. I realize it's a little longer than most of our videos, but this answers a lot of the questions we've had regarding Zoom thus far. Thank you, and best of luck this semester.